Wicked. Let me ask you something you probably haven't thought about since primary school. When was the last time you saw this mark and actually knew what it meant? Right, if you've opened Microsoft Word and clicked on the wrong button, you've probably seen it flood your screen like a swarm of ancient glyphs. Thank you, Tam Tam. It's the Pilcrow, also known today as the paragraph mark. And today we're diving into one of the most overlooked yet foundational pieces of modern writing. Because the Pilcrow isn't just a symbol, it's a story. A story about scribes, about space, about structure, and about how writers shape thought, not just with words, but with rhythm, format, and silence. And if you're an author, a teacher, an editor, or just a lover of letters, buckle up because this humble Pilcrow is about to blow your mind. So by the end of this video, you'll know where the Pilcrow came from, why it used to be the paragraph, why it disappeared from printed texts, where it hides in your software, and why its spiritual legacy lives on in every beat of your prose. So if you're ready to level up your craft, your structure, and your nerd cred, hit that like button, subscribe, and grab a pen, because we're heading into the shadowy margins of writing history to meet the ghost of the paragraph. Thank you, Tam Tam. Part 1. What even is a Pilcrow? Well, let's start simple. The Pilcrow, this symbol right here, is a symbol that marks the start of a paragraph. It's not a letter, it's not a word, it's a signal. Technically, it's a non-printing character. In most modern text editors, like Microsoft Word, it appears only when you activate Show Formatting marks. But that symbol, that funky little backwards P with the double crossbar, it once had a much grander job. Back before indentation, before double spacing, before your cursor knew how to wrap lines on its own, the Pilcrow was how writers structured thought. Paragraphs weren't separated by line breaks. They were marked, often in red ink, with a Pilcrow. It was the paragraph. And it's been with us since the 12th century. Its roots go even deeper into Latin annotation, rubrication, and manuscript tradition. So what happened? Why don't we see it in books anymore? Why is it now hidden behind a toggle switch in our word processors? To answer that, we need to go back to where the Pilcrow was born. So let's go. Part 2. Where the Pilcrow comes from. The Pilcrow's earliest form comes from a time when most people couldn't read, and the few who could were cloistered monks, copying religious texts by candlelight. To make those texts readable, scribes needed a way to visually break sections of thought, especially sermons, laws, and commentaries. So they began using a rubricator, a specialist who would add decorative marks, usually in red ink, to highlight transitions. And the paragraph mark, this red C-shaped hook, began its life not as a paragraph indicator, but as an abbreviation for the Latin word capitulum, translating roughly at this purpose to the small head. That's right, the paragraph symbol used to mean a new chapter heading. It slowly evolved. The C gained a stem, the stem doubled, and the mark became more distinct until it stood alone. It started a structure and then became an icon. Part 3. How the Pilcrow vanished. So if the Pilcrow was so vital, where did it go? Well, like many beautiful things, it was a victim of progress. The printing press changed the game. Suddenly mass production meant pages had to be uniform. Visual spacing became easier and cheaper than ornate marks. So instead of painting a red Pilcrow, printers simply added extra space between the paragraphs or indented them. Readers learned to recognize paragraph breaks by sight, and the Pilcrow slowly got phased out. By the 18th century, you'd be hard-pressed to find it in any mainstream book. It retreated to the margins, kept alive only by copy editors, typographers, and style guides. Eventually, it re-emerged in word processors, not as a guide for readers, but as a tool for writers. Now, it shows hidden formatting, line breaks, paragraph return, and layout errors. It became invisible, essential, ubiquitous, and still unsung. Part 4. The Pilcrow in modern writing. So, even if you've never used a Pilcrow in your final manuscript, you've used it. Every time you hit enter or return, you trigger one. In publishing software like Word, Scrivener, and Final Draft, it marks every new paragraph start. It signals breaks, glitches, and accidental double spaces. For editors, it's a holy glyph. For designers, it's a visual check. For authors, it's silent, but ever present. And here's where it gets really powerful. If you learn to think like a Pilcrow, meaning to treat every paragraph as an intentional unit of meaning, you'll start writing clearer, stronger prose. Because the paragraph isn't just a block of text, it's a beat, a moment, a breath. And understanding where and why to break is a pacing superpower. The answer isn't just grammar, it's rhythm. The Pilcrow is a relic of rhythm. It lives between the thoughts, the pauses, the speaker shifts, and the mood changes. Let it guide your fingers, even if it never appears on the final page. Thank you, Tam Tam. Part 5. Writing with the Pilcrow in mind. Alright, here's where things get fun for authors. Because once you know what the Pilcrow represents, not just historically, but conceptually, it becomes a writing tool. Ask yourself, does this paragraph do one thing? Does it need a break? Is the emotional beat clear? Would a new paragraph add tension, pause, or flow? Start seeing your paragraphs not as lumps, but as pulses. Each one should drive the rhythm of your story. Think about them like brushstrokes, music notes, cinematic cuts, deliberate. And when you're revising, turn on your formatting marks. Look at your Pilcrows. They'll show you the rhythm of your prose in a new way. It's a visual map of your pacing. Use it. Part 6. The Pilcrow in design, poetry, and play. Beyond Word documents and line edits, the Pilcrow lives in design. Some publications use it deliberately, bringing it back as a stylistic flourish. In poetry and flash fiction, the Pilcrow can symbolize breath. In digital art, it's used to show transitions in space or time. In science and experimental fiction, it's popping back up again as a graphic element. And it's even been used in tattoos. For many, it symbolizes structure within freedom, and a mark of transition, growth, and clarity. So don't be afraid to play with it. Use it in your headers, your scene breaks, meta structures. Bring it out of hiding, because punctuation isn't just grammar, it's design, it's voice, it's architecture. Part 7. The Invisible Architect. So, last looks here, the Pilcrow isn't flashy. It doesn't demand attention, but without it, our writing would collapse. It's the invisible architecture, the unseen breath between ideas, the beat between beats. And as writers, when we understand the shape of your paragraph, when we see structure not just as grammar, but as the music to which our story dances, we begin to master the flow. So the next time you toggle on show formatting, smile at that Pilcrow. It's been waiting there, quiet, faithful, and helping you tell your story. Alright, thank you for joining me on this deep dive. If it opened your eyes to something hidden in your writing, hit the like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more Storycraft deep dives every week. I'm MT Lynx, write well, and paragraph like a pro. And now you know. I'll see you in the next video. This one, right here. Be a love and click it.